Welcome back. This is Politics Today here at Science Television, your inclusion platform. My name is Jonah Simba. My sign language interpreter, or should I say our sign language interpreter, is Esther Kendi. I have guests for you, Japheth Wesonga, CEO Identified Solutions, and I have a Gen Z in studio, Brian Madenge. He is actually a political organizer, the social justice centers, especially the Madare Social Justice Center. I encourage you to give your feedback. We are talking about Gen Z's shaking political foundations. Give your feedback to us on 011980384. You can also do that in my Facebook, Blind Jonah Simba. Come on, just tell us what you think about these topics today. Brian, just before we went for the break, hey, gentlemen, are you still here?
Yes.
Yeah, just before we went for the break, Brian, you were saying something about the insinuation that those who are not supporting the construction of the church are actually antichrist. Proceed.
Yeah, I just mentioned before we left for the short break that, from the sentiments of the chair of that formation, there was a lot of opportunism that was evident all through the speech. And, with that, I think our impression will be that probably he had, they had something material that they were probably receiving. We cannot substantiate this, but, of course, from, the speech, you could tell that, it is triggered by something. It was not real. Secondly, I think, we are in such a time that, in such times of political distress, I think just speaking the truth or speaking loudly what is happening is a revolutionary act. And, we can commend these formations, different religious formations, including the Muslim Council, who came up and, condemned the state, the state that, the methodology of which the state was using to quell dissent by the abductions, the continued abductions, extrajudicial executions. And now, even to make it worse, we have an order to shoot on the leg. So we are in such times that probably the religious groups and who form actually majority of the votes, who actually form a majority of the votes, should come out in such times, and of course proclaim loudly that the regime has failed and offer solutions of how we should reorganize our society and our political base.
Okay. Japheth.
Yes, John.
So much from Brian.
Yeah.
But I just want now to get your angle.
Yes.
Even as we are talking about issues of religion, even as I want us now to move to the issues of tribe and tribalism.
Yes.
Are you seeing these Gen Zs overcoming this? We are talking of serious things that brought the Gen X's, the baby boomers and traditionalists.
Yes.
Yeah, it brought these other generations down. Serious tribalism. Are you seeing it creeping in? Because even as we are talking about 2027, already there's already calculations based on what?
Tribe.
And ethnicity. Yes. Are you seeing these Gen Zs really coming out of that? I've not even touched so much on the religion because there's a lot around that. By the way, many of the Christians believe in the principle of giving.
Yes.
Including the Christian Gen Zs.
Yes.
They believe in that principle of giving. Yes. And there may be propaganda around giving and gaining power. You've heard of that. People say, when you give, you receive. And those who get into power are people who give. And hakuna mtu atatuzuia kutoa. There's a lot of that. So when you see 2027 coming, there'll be a push towards giving, economic meetings, not just churches. There'll be a lot of giving because Kenyans in their Christian faith believe in that principle of giving. But now there's another Goliath here. There's another Goliath. Tribalism.
Yes.
I want you to tell us something. Are you seeing these people, the Gen Zs, really overcoming that?
Okay, thank you, Jonah. So, two things. Number one, you've talked about giving. Yes, it is true that when you give, then you receive. And the Bible says that it's more blessed to give than to receive. But having said that, also, that does not rule out the question of accountability. Okay? That does not rule out the question of the source of what it is that you are giving. So faith is not blind to the fact that you can steal from Jonah and then come and give to Brian. And there are consequences on both sides, okay? Right. So there are consequences of obtaining the wealth unjustly. The Bible also addresses itself to that. And also there are rewards for the giving. So at this point, all I would say is giving is good. You get blessed when you give, but then there has to be accountability, which our political leaders have been running away from when they are asked, what is the source of all this money you're dishing out at the so-called economic forums? Was it budgeted for? Is it government money? Is it your own personal money? They don't want to say. They just say you are becoming jealous. Let us give money to the people. These guys don't want us to give you money. So then that in itself is an indicator that the source of this money is suspect. Because, Jonah, if I have earned my money rightfully, I would have no problem saying that, you see, this 20,000 that I'm giving you is part of my salary that I earned last month. And this is how I've been able to raise this money to give you.
Let me ask you a very straight question.
Yes.
In your opinion, are you seeing whoever builds a church in State House will stay in power? Because that is, believe it or not, that is what we are hearing in our Sunday you may attend conversations. There is this talk of whoever builds a church in State House will stay in power for long.
Well,
do you believe in that? What's your opinion on that?
What I would say about that, Jonah, is whoever is declaring that, has he heard that from God? Or is it an emotional outburst to earn a paycheck? Okay? So if it is a message from God, then it is true that it can happen. But if it is an emotional outburst to earn a paycheck, to please the powers that be so that you continue going to State House to be paid, then it is a very wrong assumption.
So you agree that if it is given correctly,
if it is from God, has God told us to build a church in State House? And has God said that if you build this church for me, then you are going to rule forever? Don't we have a democracy? Don't we have an electoral system?
Just leave that thought alone for now. Talk about tribalism.
All right,
Talk about tribalism first.
Thank you,
We'll
Jonah.
come back to that.
Yeah,
Religion is very sensitive. It is very sensitive.
So I don't agree with that perspective. I know that God expects us to reason, to be reasonable, and that me being a Christian does not mean that I've left my brain at home. I need to reason and see through lies that come in God's name. All right, so moving now to tribalism. Right. The Gen Zs are capable, in my opinion, to overcome tribalism. They have demonstrated it. Of course, there is a very big effort from the political players to try and place people in tribal cocoons, okay, for their own benefit, because they do the tribal arithmetic, and then they say, when this tribe joins with this tribe, then we shall win. But the Gen Zs are tribeless, and I want to say, I work very closely with young people, and for sure, there is something in leadership and in politics that is called perception, okay? And what makes people to gang up in either in their tribe or in whatever in their clan or whatever is because of perception. When they perceive that they are under threat, then they push for existence, that they want to retain their existence, they want to survive. That then becomes a rallying call. It becomes a force that binds them together. And so the Gen Zs, regardless of tribe, feel threatened in terms of the economy, in terms of education, access to equal opportunities, and so on. And so, because of that, it does not matter to them what tribe one is.
Okay.
What matters to them is their survival.
Again, tusiandike na mate na wino ipo. We have a Gen Z in studio.
Yeah.
Brian, let me ask you a question. Are you seeing the Gen Zs from Rima voting Mrima, the Gen Zs from the Lake voting the Lake, the Gen Zs from Coast following the voice of the leadership in the Coast and voting that direction? Are you seeing that ethnic balkanization amongst you as the Gen Zs?
Well, since the genesis of the Gen Z uprising, let's dub it as an uprising. Since the genesis, I think, as the song has mentioned, as the conditions become unbearable, these objective conditions, name them, healthcare, housing, unemployment, poverty, all these issues, they form the objective basis. And that objective basis, it works in such a way that the tribal card was eroding. We didn't have any tribes, we didn't have any focus on tribes and such. So we had overcome, we had tried to overcome it. I think that question, answering it, I think I would lean on the assumption that from now to 2027, if we are to get to 2027,
right,
then it will depend with the works that are put in place during that period. Because as he also mentioned, there is a lot of deliberate attempts by the political strata to of course pacify the struggle, to pacify the unity of the struggle. And the best way that the most effective method that they have used since time immemorial is bringing out the tribal card. So now we have the Wamunyoros, we have from the mountain, we have the people from Nyanza, we have the Kalenjins, those Balkans, separating us in these Balkans, so that it becomes easy for them to maneuver and of course to introduce that dominant dominant perspective.
Don't forget there is also the group from Ukambani.
Yeah, there is also the group from Ukambani.
Is it that what Kalonzo says is what the Gen Zs in Ukambani would do?
Yeah. Sure.
Are you really hopeful, even as you're saying that, are you really hopeful that moving towards 2027, this mega giant of tribalism will be conquered? Are we going to see 2027 like any other elections where it was just ethics, mathematics? Right now, there are people who are calculating who will win based on ethnicity.
Yeah.
Am I right, Jaffe?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, you are right.
Yeah.
But we let me not say we, let me say, from where I sit,
Yes.
the demographic that will determine the next election is not tribe. It's about the age factor, the generational differences.
Are
you agreeable to that, Brian?
Yeah, to some extent, because I think there has been a radical shift, especially in the way people view, political organizations and governance. So I think the youth have the majority, and that's why I'm insisting that the unity of the youth, if it becomes solid from now to 2027, then I think 2027 will be a very peculiar election, a very interesting election.
Jaffe,
yes.
The former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is in the U.S.
Yes.
I remember seeing one particular event, the one in Seattle.
Yes.
Purely in Kikuyu, Kikuyu songs, spoken in Kikuyu language. Any problem with that?
No problem with that, because what people fail to understand, and I saw some people criticizing on social media,
right?
People need to understand before they criticize. This festival was going to happen anyway, with or without Gachagua. So let us start from there. People imagine that it is Gachagua who has gone to the US and then assembled all the Kikuyus and now they are singing Kikuyu songs and speaking Kikuyu and eating Kikuyu food.
Yeah, and
This
there was
was-
a question that where are the Luyas in the U.S.? Why
No,
are they not there? Where are the other Kenyans?
Their time will come. He's there for 2 months, remember. So just like we have Mugithi night in Kenya, we have Luo night, we have Luya night, where when you go for Luya night, you just listen to Luya songs and eat Luya food, and everything is in Luya. If the Luo night, the same. So this was a festival for Kikuyus in the US, in my understanding. And so he graced their occasion, okay?
Okay.
And so it is not in exclusion of other tribes. So let us not just capitalize on that and then start saying, you see, this is a tribalist, he's only meeting his people. You see, that was a Kikuyu festival that was going to happen with or without Gachagua. And if he happens to be in the US and then he attends, it is only logical that he interacts with his people. And again, what is so bad with loving your tribe? Yes, if I'm a Luya and I go for Luya night and I speak Luya and I eat Luya food, why should that annoy you when you are not a Luya? It only becomes a problem if I start inciting then my Luya people against you and saying that maybe they need to attack you because of your tribe and all that, which is what some politicians are doing. And then they turn around and say they are not tribal. But me having fun with my tribesmen, speaking my language, that is not tribalism.
So you don't see that 2027 will be a calculation of the big five. By the way, what are these major tribes? You know them?
We have
Kikuyu,
Kikuyu, we have
Luya,
Luo, we have Luya, we have Kalenjin.
we have Somalis. We have Somalis.
Somalis are very few. The big five is Kamba. Yeah, Kamba. So that is, Kikuyu is number 1, Luya is number 2, Luo is number 3, Kalenjin is number 4, and Kamba is number 5.
But Somalis lie somewhere. There was a contention about Somali numbers.
Yeah, but they're not among the top 5. I want to, I would like to think that it will not be a question of tribe,
That's
tribal
what I'm-
arithmetic.
Yeah.
It will be a question of age group. Because people will go and vote for...
Before, did we get it wrongly, where it is a kingpin of a tribe ganging up with a kingpin of another tribe, and that becomes the winning? You know, right from independence, Japheth, you would agree. There has
Yes.
always been either the lake and the mountain, or the rift and the mountain. You know, there's always been that kind of ethnicity that we hope. Is that what the Gen Zs are trying to demystify here?
Yes, maybe before Brian comes in.
Right.
2002 was slightly different in terms of tribal formations. You remember when Kibaki came into power?
Right.
Yes, and he was contesting against Uhuru Kenyatta. And you remember the formations that time. And I think right now the discussion is more of economics, okay?
Right.
And access to opportunities. And so when these young people go to the vote, to the ballot, they will be voting for their future. They'll have an opportunity to choose whether they want to curtail their freedom or they want freedom, whether they want to have economic empowerment, real economic empowerment, or they want to continue in joblessness and poverty. And so I think a vast majority of the young people will not be voting tribe, but they'll be looking at their future.
Is that so, Brian?
Yeah, I think also he used a very good example in the 202, political transition.
Yes.
Because there comes that time, even if they try to bring or place the tribal card, I think there comes a time that conditions become primary to the people and they unify the people. Because I think it's not a question of the youth or the Gen Z themselves only as a homogeneous group, but you can feel the disgust, you can feel the bitterness, even within the upper generation, the generation that comes before the Gen Z, and even the generation that comes even before the millennials. So you can tell that there is that it has shifted from apathy to the urgency to take a political action. So yeah, I think the 2027 elections are interesting in such a way that it is conditions that are bringing the people together.
By the
And
way,
people who are coming from a certain form of slumber to a certain form of to an elevated level, an advanced level of political consciousness.
what are your peers saying in Madare and Kayole and Dandora? You know, I would want to really understand what they're saying about the intergenerational suggestion from Raila Odinga.
Yeah, their needs. I think there is a need. The need is there. We have a need for that intergenerational talk, but it doesn't have to happen as an event or as a celebration. I think it's a process, like Songa was mentioning on socialization. I think when we socialize, even within the integration, even among the community members, that itself is intergenerational. Sharing stories and coming up with modalities like, well, this is what we did, this is what we achieved during our generation. Your generation is this and this, your advantage in terms of technology and such. So this is what you can do better, or this is what we can do together. So I take the sentiments of the former Prime Minister as a joke, and I still think he's still in slumber, because I think he has also lost the base. He has lost his political base, and now he's losing his sanity, because we are not ready for dialogue. Time for dialogue elapsed. And I think we are not even ready for dialogue, because even with these dialogues, what happens is that they get their own lot. They come up with declarations and deliberations which are not owned, organically by the people. Because the protest started organically. People were self-mobilizing themselves based on conditions. Yeah. So now they will mobilize some young people and assert that, we have talked with the Gen Z. That is not the voice of the Gen Z. So I think the time for dialogue already elapsed. And I think right now what we need is change. And, we have already described how this change, looks like. I think we can talk more about how this change looks like and how we envision it. But, it cannot be summed up or, watered down by a simple dialogue.
Yeah.
Okay, Japheth, I don't know what you have to say about that. The intergenerational talk, are you pro it? Are you seeing a situation where, as he's putting it, rather than sharing good manners, there'll be a sharing of bad manners?
Yes.
Are you seeing such a situation? Because obviously, corruption is another giant.
Yes.
That has been there before. So the beginning point is that when they sit down, there'll obviously be payments.
Yeah.
It will be obviously, are you pro that dialogue? I mean,
yes.
don't you think dialogue works?
Jonah, dialogue works, and dialogue is good, and nobody can refuse dialogue at any given time, because it's only when we speak together, we talk, that we get a solution. But the concern here is the timing of that call for dialogue. Number two, the person who is calling for it. Number three, the actions. Because if I'm calling you for dialogue, but at the same time, I'm very angry and issuing threats, and my actions, even as I call for dialogue, do not align with my words, then the population becomes suspicious. That this call for dialogue is a tactical, it's a tactic meant to calm down the temperatures.
We're just about to wind up, right?
Just to buy time, as has happened before, and there'll be nothing tangible that will come out of it. So history, unfortunately, does not favor those who are calling for dialogue, because they have called for similar dialogue before, and we never saw the results.
In 1 minute, your last words, Japheth.
My last words are that Kenya is a very beautiful country. The Kenya that I saw and dreamt about and lived in when I was a young person seems to have been taken hostage by a few political players. And my prayer is that somebody somewhere may give me back my Kenya, my beloved country that I lived to love so much.
Well said.
It's no longer the Kenya that I'm seeing today.
Okay. Well said. Brian Madenge, one last word.
Yeah, thank you for hosting us, and I would I would just like to express my gratitude to the young people and all people who have taken up the task for the liberation of this country. I know it's a very tedious process, and it takes all our energies. But let's not let's not lose hope. Let's not be apathetic, and let's keep organizing.
Thank you. Viewers, that's it for today. We have been with Japheth Wesonga, CEO, Identified Solutions, and we've been with Brian Madenge, political organizer, social justice centers, especially the Mathare Social Justice Center. My name is Jonah Simba. You can feel free to share your views with us on 0111980384, especially on the issues we've spoken about. Yeah, Gen Zs shaking the political foundations. We've spoken about issues of tribe. We've spoken about issues of corruption a bit. We've touched on religion. I don't know what your views are. Our sign language interpreter has been Esther Kendi. See you next week. Hapa Politics today. Bye-bye.